Well, the new Super Mario Bros. Movie is upon us. I've made my plans to go see it, and I can't wait! But before I do so, I think now would be a good time to talk about the other Super Mario Bros. Movie, the one that most people try to forget. Yep, I'm talking about the 1993 live-action Super Mario Bros. Movie, featuring Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo. The consensus with this movie is pretty much negative, mostly due to the fact it doesn't resemble the Super Mario Bros. Games at all. And yeah, it's a legit complaint. You pay to see a movie about Super Mario, and what you get is something that completely misses the mark. I think it goes without saying, but the new Super Mario Bros. Movie is probably going to be a better adaptation than this. I mean, just looking at the DVD cover alone, it will tell you that straight away. I mean, it looks cool, I'll give it that, but it doesn't resemble Mario in any way. What's that quote that says at the top there? Hilarious and exciting, a cross between Indiana Jones, Blade Runner and Star Wars. What do those three movies got to do with Super Mario Bros? Well, when you actually watch the movie, there is some actual truth to that. The look of the movie is dark, gritty, more adult than you think, and not as colourful and kid-friendly as the games. Not to say it's bad, it looks pretty cool, but just not what you expect out of a movie called Super Mario Bros. So what goes on in this movie? Well, the general plot is that Mario, played by the late Bob Hoskins, and Luigi, played by John Leguizamo, are a duo of plumbers looking for work. They bump into a girl named Daisy, played by Samantha Mathis. She gets kidnapped and dragged through a portal through another dimension, and the Mario Bros follow suit and try to save Daisy from the evil clutches of King Koopa, played by Dennis Hopper. So they got two things right. One being the fact that they're plumbers. In fact, throughout the majority of the movie, the Mario Bros do a lot of plumbing as opposed to jumping on Goombas and Koopa Troopers. The second is the basis of a Super Mario plot. Bowser kidnaps a princess and the Mario Bros go rescue her. Daisy is the princess of the parallel universe that Koopa has taken over. Not Peach for some odd reason. It's weird, because apart from the name, she looks and dresses like her. And it's not a random name either. She's named after Princess Daisy from Super Mario Land of all Mario games. Why they changed that, I have no idea. But I guess it worked in the long term, because people nowadays ship Luigi and Daisy together. Anyway, apart from those two things, there's barely anything else to this movie, apart from references here and there. There's a brand of shoes called Thwomp Stompers, bullet bills that power them, there's a bouncer at a bar called Big Bertha, named after a large Cheep Cheep in Super Mario Bros. 3, there's a singer who gets captured alongside the Mario Bros. Called Toad, there's a scene where Mario saves a bunch of kidnapped girls and rides a mattress down a chute. I guess that's the movie's representation of Mario going down a warp pipe. Then there's some characters that don't even look right. Koopa is just Dennis Hopper with slick back hair and a scaly suit. When he gets zapped by the Evolve gun and turns into a dinosaur, that's pretty much the closest you get to Bowser in the games. And even then, it's generic as you can get, and it's not shown for very long. He has two goofball cousins, Iggy and Spike. Iggy is named after one of the Koopalings, and Spike is named after those ball regurgitating enemies. I don't think they're even meant to be representing those characters. They just happen to be called Iggy and Spike. Yoshi makes an appearance, which just looks like a generic looking Velociraptor. But hey, there's that one scene where he sticks his tongue out as he does in the games. The sad thing is, they barely resemble what they're supposed to reference. If you put those references side by side, you wouldn't put two and two together without being told. The closest thing we get that resembles what it's supposed to be is a Bob-omb, though it's tiny and has Reeboks painted on its feet for some reason. There's no familiar music in this movie either, it's all original, except for the title sequence where it plays the Mario theme, literally down to the 8-bit quality. Sounds like they just took the 8-bit music and slapped it on the front and said, "Hey, this is totally a Mario movie, trust us, it's got the main theme." I don't know what it is about this movie, but it's heavily themed around dinosaurs and evolution for some odd reason. The idea is that the meteorite that killed the dinosaurs split the world into two dimensions, and some of the dinosaurs survived and evolved into dinosaur hybrids. Koopa wants to reassemble the meteorite and merge Dino Hatton and the human world to de-evolve the human race so he can take over the two worlds. Yeah, that sounds like something Bowser would do. He has this device that can evolve or de-evolve living things, which he uses to create Goombas. I think they got the anatomy of a Goomba backwards here. Why they went for this theme is beyond me. Maybe because Koopa is some form of reptile and they just chose to run with it. Or maybe because dinosaurs were a bit of a craze back then. Whatever the reason, it doesn't match what you'd see in a Super Mario Bros. Movie, or a game for that matter. Yeah, there's no shadow of doubt why this movie flopped. It failed to capture the feel and the look of the Mario games. But it could be because back then no one knew how to take 2D side-scrollers and turn them into a live-action movie. Keep in mind, this was the first movie based on a specific video game, whereas up until that point, there were movies about video games like Tron and The Wizard, so it didn't really have anything to compare to. You could also argue there wasn't enough source material back then to come up with something interesting. But by that point, Super Mario World was out, so the foundation of Super Mario was there. And let's not forget about the Super Mario Bros. Cartoons, which did a great job turning the games into a kids' show. Perhaps live action wasn't the right choice for a project like this. I think it should have been an animated movie, so they can go all out with making the world resemble the games as much as possible, instead of limiting themselves to the limitations of live action. The guys over at Japan managed to pull it off with a movie of their own. Why couldn't we? Not to say a live action Mario wouldn't work, it just needed the right creative mind to bring it to life. But yeah, I think it goes without saying, as an adaptation to the Super Mario Bros. Series, it's pretty bad. So bad it's not worth checking out, right? Well, not if you can distance yourself from the source material, that is. Yeah, as a standalone movie, I thought it was very interesting. Sure, it's a little boring at the beginning, but when the Mario Brothers end up in Dino Hatton, that's when the movie starts getting fun. I have to say, the residents of Dino Hatton are very mean-spirited.
Excuse me, Miss Lady, can you tell me where I am?
Yeah, you're in my way! Big suckers!
What are these people?
One scene in particular that got me laughing was when the Mario Bros bumped into an old lady who acts kind and concerned for the duo. Once she finds out they're unarmed, she pulls a gun out and zaps Mario, only to be chucked off the sidewalk and cause a traffic jam. Jeez! Another funny bit was where the Mario Bros try to sneak back into the city and take out 2 garbage workers, only they only deal with one because the other gets knocked out by the other's garbage pole. I literally said out loud to myself, did that really just happen? It's so dumb, you can't help but laugh. Things kinda get wild when the Mario Bros escape prison. It just dawned on me the idea of Mario and Luigi being thrown in jail. It's quite surreal. Even in Mario Sunshine, I thought it was pretty weird seeing Mario behind bars. But they escape, steal a police car, and a car chase follows. I guess it's their interpretation of Mario Kart. There's also a pretty gruesome death scene. Koopa's right-hand lady, Lena, takes the meteorite piece and reassembles it, only to be vaporised into a wall, leaving nothing but skeletal remains. That's pretty jarring.
Man, she sure makes an impression.
Ugh, these jokes. I know a lot of people don't like this movie, especially Super Mario fans. And yeah, all the complaints about this movie are genuine, so why is it I don't hate it as much as others? Well, I think because the movie released in 1993, and I was born a year later, I didn't have the same love or hype as others did who grew up with Super Mario in the 90s or the 80s. Even though I grew up with Nintendo and Super Mario, I can't say I had the desire to see Mario on the big screen. When I did find out there was a live action movie, I'd only be able to watch parts of it on the TV and not watch it from beginning to end. And even back then, although I couldn't see anything that resembles Mario in any way, I was still drawn to the movie. Maybe I was intrigued by the dark and gritty tone, kind of like the 1989 Batman movie. Eventually, when I got my hands on this DVD and watched the movie from beginning to end, I wasn't as angry or bitter over the fact that it bared no resemblance to the games. It's a time capsule of the 90s, and given the direction other video game movies took, like Street Fighter, Double Dragon, and Mortal Kombat, I just assumed that's how people interpreted video games as movies back then. I don't think anyone had any idea how to turn 2D side-scrollers or arcade fighting games into a coherent narrative because the games themselves didn't provide much backstory. Not even Super Mario games had much to go on, only the bare minimum of Guys Rescues Gal. Nowadays, movie makers have a much better understanding of how to make a successful video game movie, and even though Nintendo has a more hands-on approach with the new Super Mario Bros. Movie, it will be very difficult not to please Mario fans. So, with this 1993 Super Mario Bros. Movie, if you're looking for a faithful adaptation, you're not going to find it here. But if you're curious to check it out, and you're a forgiving person like me, you might get something out of this. It's not a masterpiece of a film by its own right, but it's not so terrible it's difficult to watch. I guess you could say it's pretty average. if you're curious to check this out, go have a look at it. If not, go see the new Super Mario Bros. Movie. I'm sure that's more what you're looking for.